What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the MME YouTube channel. My name is Tyler Egan, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing how to heal emotional wounds without becoming a victim. But before we dive into that, if you take anything from today's video, if you like the content we put out there, we'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like, a comment, and please subscribe to the channel for more content like this. With that out of the way, let us dive into this. And I'm going to start this off with a quote. Oh man, I just lost my spot in here. There it is. I'm going to start this off from a quote. I'm currently reading the complete book of yoga by Swami Vivekananda. I really hope I said that man's name right. And there's a quote from the book that I want to share with you that's going to help us on our journey today. And that is, life is good or evil according to the state of mind we look at it. It is neither by itself. And this quote is really effective because in order for us to heal emotional wounds without becoming a victim, we must listen to them, we must validate them, and we must honor them. We must listen, validate, and honor them. And where the struggle starts to come in with healing emotional wounds is if we have mental patterns, we have neurological programming, we have subconscious programming, where when we start to feel big emotions, we were trained to push them back down because we're not supposed to feel that way. Maybe we weren't taught how to express our emotions fully, express ourselves fully. Maybe as a child, it wasn't okay for you to feel those big emotions. And by association, you were expected to mature or grow up a little bit sooner. Then the mind is going to kick in and try to get you to push those emotions back down. Whether it's through shame or guilt, or other types of negative energy, right? Because the process of healing really is as simple as listening to it, validating it, and then honoring it, right? The problem becomes when those mental patterns kick in, the mental patterns that we inherited, in a sense, from our parents. When those patterns kick in, we'll start to resist the emotional healing process. And then that resistance leads to the victimhood because that energy is trying to come up. That energy of the shame energy inside of you is trying to come up, be seen and heard. What do I mean by that? When I mean being seen and heard, the story that you've been telling yourself about yourself is trying to come up and be fully seen. So maybe you have a story that people are always doing things to you. What if you actually just listened to that for once and validated it? Like, yeah, that person was, and I'm not saying go be mean to somebody else in return. I'm talking about this is an internal practice. This is something you do with yourself and for yourself, and that is it, right? So when that pattern of shame comes up, it's just like you just listen to it. You bring your awareness into the moment. And you validate that story in your head. Like, you know what? Yeah, that person was a dick to you. That person did do you wrong. You validate it. And then you honor it by establishing firm boundaries to the point where you will not tolerate that type of behavior from the people in your circle anymore. But the boundaries start with you. And that starts with you listening and actually listening to your emotions as they come up. Again, imagine, hold on, there's a picture of me somewhere around here. You get a picture of little you. That little Tyler, got like 7 or 8 year old Tyler hanging out right here. And you imagine you're talking to this person, this version of you. And you imagine this version of you is feeling all of his big emotions. This is actually funny now that I'm doing this on camera. But you imagine this part of you, this version of you, this part of you is feeling his big emotions, and you guide him through it. You guide her through it. And you validate them. You hold the space for them to feel it. And so now what's happening in this present moment is you are becoming the space where that emotion is working its way through you. And maybe it comes in the form of, first you give yourself permission. And then that inner child feels safe enough to express him or herself fully and completely to you. Because we have to take a step back from it and recognize that I am not Tyler Egan. I am the consciousness that is giving this body life. And yeah, so and then also I am Tyler Egan. I know that's confusing, but I am both. I am one, the consciousness giving this body life, and I am this specific human being. And so by bringing my presence into the moment, giving myself permission to feel the big emotion, that part of me starts to feel safe. And I hear the story and I hear myself express it all. And I validate him. In your case, might be a her. You validate her. Like, it's okay. It's normal for you to feel that way. I would be more concerned if you didn't feel that way. But all these egoic patterns come in. And so then what we do is we take the little child, the little 6-year-old me who doesn't understand that he's just feeling some embarrassment, and we push it down. And we're just like, no, that's not okay. We resist the big emotion because as children, we weren't taught how to feel that shit. And recognize that the feelings are okay to feel. They're a natural part of human life. Guilt, shame, embarrassment, anger, frustration, jealousy, lust, all of these like lower stress hormone oriented energies are just as much a part of the human experience as joy and happiness and excitement. They are just as much a part of it. But when we, as children, are not taught how to fully experience those emotions in a healthy fashion, we push them down. We ask the ego to take those big emotions and do whatever it knows how to do with them, and it just pushes and buries them down. Thereby, we resist it. That resistance creates the victimhood because that energy is just trying to come up. It's just trying. Little Tyler's just trying to be seen, and the only way he knows how to be seen now is to become a victim, because then he'll garner sympathy from people. But instead, what I do is I hold space for my little long lost homie here, and I allow him to express his shit. I allow him to feel all of his big emotions. He expresses his big emotions to me all the time. You may never actually see it if you were to meet me in person, but I am feeling and experiencing every single emotion in every single moment because I have no fucking desire to bury any of his problems anymore. Right? Because the resistance creates the victimhood. And that resistance creates an attachment to the victimhood because now we are so neurologically programmed to gain love when we're a victim. Right? So the more we push those energies down, the more we don't listen to them, the more we do not validate those big emotions, the more that we do not honor those big emotions, those emotional wounds, those emotional traumas, the childhood traumas, the more we push them down, the more we resist them, the more we create the victim character in our mind. And the more that victim comes to the surface because we are still just trying to get our needs met. The unmet emotional needs, the emotional traumas are just unmet emotional needs from the inner children. That's what they are. And the more we resist those, the more we create an attachment to the outside world to get love, because we're still going to try to get those unmet needs met, those emotional needs met, those unmet emotional needs met. We're still going to try to get those needs met. Now, in order to do that, we become a victim. We complain to everybody. We talk about how this person did us wrong, that person did this, and now we get sympathy from them. And I'm not saying this to shame anybody or be mean or any of that kind of stuff, because I've been there. I've done those things. I am speaking this from firsthand experience, not from a place of I'm better than you, I'm shaming everybody. The question becomes, is that how you want to live your life? Because if you want to be a victim, and I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you probably don't, but if you want to be a victim, if you want to gain external love through sympathy from others, like, you go ahead and do your thing. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, right? But if you don't want to be a victim and you want to heal emotionally without being a victim, you have to listen, validate, and honor those big emotions, those emotional wounds, the unmet needs of the little child inside of you. I'm going to share one other quote from this book to kind of come back to my point on attachment really fast. And Swami Vivekananda, I am so positive now I'm saying his name right, said, "Misery comes through attachment, not from the work we do. Misery comes through attachment. When we're attached to that part of ourselves." Right? So I'm saying all this, right? Maybe you're recognizing this, so you're having some aha moments, right? But like, you're struggling to get to that space, that safe space where little you, sorry, I'm going to do it again. The picture's actually pretty funny too. Little you wants to feel his or her big emotions, but your mind keeps coming in to push them back down. That's where we have to get into the psychological framework of your mind, the neurological subconscious programming of your mind, and start to peel back the layers of your psyche. Right? Carl Jung talks about it in his individuation process, the shadow. Right? The shadow. The unconscious parts of your mind that are manifesting themselves in reality. Maybe it's through self-sabotage. You're harming yourself in ways that you don't even realize it. You're sabotaging your health. You're sabotaging your career, your work, whatever it is. And as I'm saying this, I'm sure things are coming to your mind right now, because if you're here, you're well aware. You have enough awareness to recognize those unconscious patterns manifesting themselves in reality. But maybe you're struggling to get underneath of all of that, to peel back the layers enough to get to that point. Listen, there's a bunch of people out there that can help you do this work just through educational content like this alone. There's people like therapy and stuff like that helps with those kinds of things. So how you decide to explore it is up to you. I decided to go down the path of self-exploration, and let me tell you something. It was challenging, it was hard, and at times I felt really helpless. But it is a very valid path if you feel like you are strong enough to endure that, because there is a tremendous amount of pain that comes with it. I'm just going to be honest with you all. And you will need help along the way. I didn't do this all on my own. Like, I had friends that unintentionally taught me. They gave me new input to my nervous system so I could recognize what certain things felt like. And what I mean by that is, I used to be afraid of my own anger, my own rage, my own frustration, my own aggressiveness. And that would unintentionally manifest itself into reality, even though I was trying to push it down. Until one day, it all really started to change when I was visiting a friend, and I was helping him with something, and we were having a conversation, and he was asking me questions, and it really fucking triggered me. And I'm getting emotional as I say this, because this story has left such a potent impact on me. But there was like a dead silence, and he's just like, "Dude, I can feel your anger or rage." I forget which one of those he said. "I can feel your rage from here." And we were standing, 6 feet away from each other. But the point is, like, he felt my energy. And it was in that moment, well, actually in the moment, I didn't recognize it yet, but through that experience, I learned that it was okay for me to feel my anger. And what I had also realized was I had already been doing that by learning how to channel it more effectively. But now I had an experience with another person that taught me that it was okay to feel that way. So even if you choose to go down the path of figuring your own psychology out on your own neurological and subconscious programming, because it is a very valid path, it's the path that I chose, you will need help along the way. And it may come in ways you may not realize. You can't predict these things. You can't force that. I couldn't force my friend to do that to me, And I had another one of my friends who I was struggling with one of my jobs, and this whole situation happened with my boss, And my friend just listened to me. She validated what I was experiencing. She challenged me a little bit. And then I got to express myself fully, like why I was doing what I was doing. And then she validated me again. And I was just like, that's cool. So, to come back to my whole point though, how do we heal emotional wounds without becoming a victim? You have to honor that part of yourself. You have to listen to that part of yourself. You have to validate and honor that part of yourself. When I say those things, listen to the story playing in your head without judgment. Listen to the story in your head without judgment. Can you do that? If you can't, listen to the judgment. Because again, you are the consciousness experiencing it all. So if you can't listen to your story without judgment, listen to the judgment. Once you get past the judgment, you can listen to the story without judgment. Once you can listen to the story without judgment, you can start to validate it. Once you start to validate it, you can start to honor it. When you honor it, you integrate it into who you are. That angry version, those little Tylers inside of me, I don't push them down. I honor them. I do this to honor him. So, I hope this video has helped you heal your emotional wounds without becoming a victim. If you took anything from this video, we'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.